Usually so up and about after a win and I do the player ratings because it's just time to bring in a whole lot of love. There's not going to be any hate in this video, but love? Yeah, not really seeing there's going to be a lot of that in this one. So this is going to be interesting. Let's see what you guys think. I've already seen, and I don't really like getting other people's opinions before I do these ratings, but I've had 3 people this morning at the time of recording send me a different Hawthorn group's votes for the game. And all I'm going to say is, thank goodness we're all allowed to have different opinions. Here are my ratings, which don't have to be more or less right than anyone else's. They're going to be different. Jarman Impey and Dylan Moore are going to feel very lonely on the 5-star island that they have built for themselves. Jars was super clean. Dill 27-2. It's going to be pretty hard to stop. Now, I will say that Dill's last quarter did help a lot and the game was getting away from us at the time. I do accept that, but also, it's not as if his first 3 quarters were awful. They were not. They were really solid. And he capped off a really good day. I can't really remember, and I've watched it twice. I don't remember one awful thing that he did at all. He looked clean. He didn't try to do too much. Maybe they handballed a Massimo on the halfback flank. That might be the only mistake, and then didn't lay a shepherd. Why aren't shepherds a thing anymore? Other than that, Dill was awesome. And again, Jars had a horrific holding the ball paid against him, as in his own fault. It wasn't a bad decision. It was his fault. No game awareness. But those sorts of little things in a loss doesn't mean that you are entitled to lose rankings. You are allowed a mistake. I make mistakes when recording all the time. I make mistakes at work. I dare say that you would as well. You are still entitled, though, to think, or someone else is entitled to think, that you've had a 5-star day, right? 5 stars, contrary to what people think, is not perfection. It is service delivered to the best or just over the top of the best of their ability. Both of these boys did that. Connor McDonald, Carl Amon, Blake Hardwick, Massimo D'Ambrosio, and Josh Ward are going to be the recipients of the 4-star today. Now, I will say that Connor and Josh have one thing in common. They're going to kind of be the recipients of the wish you had 5 more touches club. Because with how clean that Connor was, and I thought with how well that Josh Ward was able to spread the ground, he made the ground bigger, better than any other Hawk on the ground, in my opinion. If he was just able to get the footy 5 more times, I think he had like 21, 22 disposals. If that becomes 26, 27, you are looking at a 5-star type of performance. I just wanted a little bit more. But other than that, what he actually delivered was really solid. I don't think Josh Ward is harsh getting a 4-star here. What took me away from giving him 5 was like, I just wanted a handful more, just 25% more of the footy, and I'm going, that is the foundation that we want to build off of. But what Josh delivered himself was still really good. Carl, more disposals than any other Hawk. Awesome. Rebounded really well. Fantastic. Couple of his disposals were not particularly great, and non-disadvantaged kicks as well, which is a little bit unlike him, maybe marking him too harshly. I'll own that if you think that is the case. No stress there. Blake Hardwick didn't really lose a one-on-one all day, to be perfectly honest with you, and I thought Massimo's form not only has been awesome coming in over the last few weeks, he's kind of gotten himself out of the rut as the rest of the Hawks have put themselves in the rut, to be honest. But I thought he was fantastic. Again, had 1 horror turnover. It seemed like having 1 is kind of the pass mark for that kind of performance because so many others had so many others. But thought he was fantastic. Mitch Lewis, John Newcomb, Nick Watson, Finn McGuinness, and Bodie Ryan get the 3 stars. Tom Sparrow did an elite job, and I would say that Jai wasn't making mistakes in that first half, so you probably go with a 2-star. First half had the 17 touches in the second half. The tag was released in that last quarter, but still thought he was really, really good and our best midfielder on the day for that second half. Therefore, 2-star first half, 4-star second half. Here we are. I don't really get the Finn criticism, which sounds really weird coming from me, but he tagged Cozzy Pickett for 3 quarters, and Cozzy did nothing. Isn't that what we want? We've criticised Sam Mitchell, and look, there were some selection things that happened this week that I have no idea what's going on, and granted, I think it's been the weakness of the coaching staff itself has been team selection for the majority of the year. So we finally want Finn to tag. He did really well at it, and yet we want to go with ball use as the term, as the thing to whack him over the head with. Cozzy Pickett was the 7th highest rated player in the comp coming into this game. And he did nothing. Why aren't we giving credit for that? I have no idea. I said it in the review. A few of you have said it in the comments that Bodie Ryan is sort of everything that you kind of want in a nuggety small defender. He's a better kick, I suppose. He kind of looks like a Blake Hardwick Jr., to be perfectly honest with you. Not a bad thing to have in your side there. So he definitely gets the 3. Anytime a small forward kicks 3, he gets 3 stars. I mean, you could argue that he would have more. I thought Colton Tolstrup actually played him really well. Few key fumbles, though, which are a little bit unlike the Wizard, keeps him off the 4-star brigade for mine. I can absolutely understand if you go, that was a 4 for me. I'm not really going to argue with you on that one in the slightest. And the Mitch Lewis thing, can we stop talking about trading him? Because without Gunston, he's our best tall forward, yeah? He beat his opponent. And, yeah, I could argue I would want more. There's a reason why he's not on the 4 or 5-star list here. But if you could honestly watch that game and go, who's near the top of my list of problems? Mitch Lewis. That is too far a stretch for mine. Daniel Turner's been in really good form, and Mitch beat him. I don't know. Sounds like a pretty decent performance to me. James Sicily, Josh Weddle, Josh Battle, Cam McKenzie, and Henry Huswaite get the 2 stars here. Now, you might argue that Weddle and maybe Battle are a little bit unlucky. Josh's highs were very high. When he got further up the ground, he looked really good. I would agree with you. However, those 3 let a full forward line of Jacob Van Rooyen, Matthew Jefferson, and Harrison Petty win. Yeah, no, that ain't good enough for me. I don't really give a damn what you did with the ball there. Sicily right now is being a real cause of frustration for a lot of Hawthorn fans for the leadership aspect of what he does. Because sure, as a rebounder and the way he takes up field position in an offensive way is really good. As a back shoulder defender, he just ain't it. Now, it sucks that Scrimmer hurt his knee, absolutely, because we could have used him for that back shoulder stuff because Scrimmer is better than Sis in that role. But sometimes it's just like once, because again, Tom Barras didn't play. We just kind of needed some spoils from out there, and he just kept losing one-on-one contests. That's 2 stars for me. What you did with the footy doesn't really bother me all that much. Again, the people that love Frenchie, and again, I didn't see what you guys saw. I saw his 3rd quarter, which was solid, by the way. And I've often spoken about that we have a couple of midfielders that are kind of the Adam Cherrers, which is 21 to 24 disposals, 2 to 5 clearances, and that's it. They do 2 A-grade things. The rest of the time, they're kind of just there. That's what Frenchie did. And in a midfield where we are demanding better, I don't think it's too far-fetched to go, we want better. And that's kind of where that ends for me. If you saw it differently, awesome. Fantastic. But again, if our midfield is so star-spangled awesome, why are we still chasing others? That's all I'm going to say. And I kind of felt for Henry a little bit because he had to play the Connor Nash role. We'd spoken on the channel about how he had to play the Connor Nash role, and he played a 10 AFL game version of the Connor Nash role, which is not great because Connor's never really going to be a 5-star guy. He's probably got a ceiling as a 4. Maybe he's got a 5 in him here or there, but overall, you're probably hoping from Connor that you've got maybe 14 4-star performances. I mean, that would be great, but you kind of go, okay, 18 times you kind of want a 3 or 4. That's probably around the mark, and then you're probably going to dip a little bit. You get someone playing that role, which structurally we want to have in our midfield, and you do it with someone that's relatively inexperienced playing his 10th AFL game, just didn't quite work out the way that we wanted it to. And the scary part for Henry moving forward is Melbourne's midfield is not exactly one that you go, that role can hold up in finals with that guy. So the question of, is he just going to be a VFL player now, which is an unfortunate one to ask because I loved him coming out of his draft year, is still a worthy one of being asked. And you'd think Connor's going to come back from the concussion next week. Henry's going to drop out. What kind of role outside of that could he possibly have in the seniors? I'm not sure, which is a massive shame. Harry Morrison, Ned Reeves, Cal Shadir, Lloyd Meek, Jack Ginnivan, and Max Ramsden. We won the hitouts. I don't care. Around the ground, the big blokes didn't do anything, which sucks. Calsha, remember when Sam Mitchell came out and said that he's got a little bit of a confidence issue? He did some couple of nice things, made a couple of real not nice things as well, but overall, just didn't really give a yelp when we needed one from our forward line. Guinea did get hurt, got a knock, of course, but 18 disposals and none of them were anything to really write about, which is a shame. It was definitely, for me, his worst performance for the season. And Harry now, twice in a row, has been absolutely dominated by Harvey Langford. think that pretty much ends that here. And Langford's a gun. Don't get me wrong. He was pick 6 and one of the better midfielders in his draft. Absolutely. You come in to do a role, didn't do the role. And the top five's got a few changes to it. Nick Watson becomes the first Hawk to hit the 40 mark. Newcomb, Impey, Connor McDonald, and then Blake Hardwick, who joins the top 5. Now, granted, votes per game would look a lot different because Gunston and Barris would be much higher up the list, but they've missed a little bit of footy, which is why they're not there. That's how the top 5 looks, and hopefully we can put the Melbourne game behind us relatively quickly. Thank you for watching. I know it wasn't the result we were all looking for, but as per usual, we've got a week to bounce back. We've got Adelaide down at UTAS, and I still think that we can bounce back. I'll look forward to doing that preview and hopefully another Hawthorn themed video throughout the week as well. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.